Welcome back to Book Break. Today we are doing a Publishing House TBR. So I've been going around and chatting to loads of people in the office to see the range of books that are being read and quite how different everyone's TBR is around the office. We all love books here, but we've all obviously got quite different tastes. So let's start with my own TBR for the next few weeks. I have just started reading The Testaments by Margaret Atwood. Yes, I gave into the hype. I have been really excited about this one for quite a while, and I've heard nothing but amazing things from everyone who has read it. So this one I imagine is on quite a few people's TBRs at the moment, so let's see what else I've got. I'm planning next on reading The Inheritance of Solomon Farthing by Mary Paulson Ellis. So this one I've just heard so many good things about. Everyone in the office has been so excited about it, and later this month on Book Break we're going to do a video all about historical fiction recommendations, so I thought I'd better brush up on some really good ones. This one's the story of an old man who dies alone in a nursing home in Edinburgh, and nobody knows who his family is. He's got no will to speak of, but they find £50,000 sewn into the lining of his coat. So Solomon Farthing is the heir hunter who's brought in to try and find who this money should go to, and in order to do that he has to delve into his past, and he finds this whole mystery hidden back on his family tree. So we've got parallel timelines between the present day and during First World War, the story of what happened to this man in France. I love a parallel timeline, so I've got really high hopes for this one. And then another historical fiction that I'm also going to read for that video is The Winter Soldier by Daniel Mason. I have heard nothing but incredible things, particularly about the writing of this book and his last book, The Piano Tuner. I want to read that one at some point as well. But he's just supposed to be such a beautiful writer, so I feel like this one's going to be really moving. This one is also a World War I book, this time set in Vienna, and it actually came up in our latest book haul video, which I will link to if you haven't watched that one yet, and I couldn't resist. Once I started talking about it, I got so excited, so I've definitely bumped it up to the top of my TBR. So those are my plans, but I have been talking to other people around the office to find out what they've got on their TBRs as well. So Rosh from Editorial is working on Saint X at the moment, so that's what she's currently reading. This is a book we'll be publishing next year. It's a psychological drama, which I can't tell you too much about yet, but do look out for it. It's about sisters, murder, and obsession, which are basically all of my buzzwords for a good thriller, so I'm now officially adding that to my TBR as well. And next up, Rosh is going to be reading Educated by Tara Westover, which she said she added to her TBR because she's never met anyone who didn't like it, which honestly, same. Then I asked Elle, the other half of the Book Break team, and she is currently reading a proof of a book called The Matchmaker by Katrina Innes, which she's reading because Katrina is actually one of her best friends. And Katrina has also been on Book Break before. She's the features director at Cosmopolitan, and she did a great video for us talking about what it's like to work at Cosmo. So I will link to that, go check it out. This is her debut novel coming out later in November, and it's apparently inspired by her love of the TV show First Dates. So it's about a matchmaker. It's a love story, but also with a twist. So there's a mystery running through it. It sounds so much fun. Now Andy from Digital has got a perfect Halloween read on his TBR. He's going to be reading Security by Gina Walsdorf. So this is about a futuristic new build hotel where people start dying off one by one, even though there are security cameras watching everything. Sounds really intriguing, really terrifying. I might actually have to copy him and read that one on Halloween night because that sounds just perfect. I love that kind of terrifying book. And then I spoke to Emma from Children's, and she has been reading Three Women by Lisa Taddeo. I just finished this one as well, and it's honestly so good. This is one you would have seen everywhere. So many people are talking about it, but it really is just that brilliant. So this is a non-fiction book, though it's written as if it's a novel. You could believe it was a novel, and it's about three different women, and the author basically interviewed them about their sex lives, and they're three very different stories about female sexuality and desire and the feeling of being desired. They're really, really interesting stories, and a lot of them really sad and moving as well. But then for something very different after that, the next on Emma's TBR is The Secret Commonwealth, which is the next in Philip Pullman's Book of Dust trilogy. And the TV show of His Dark Materials is coming out later this November, so I can see why this is just the perfect time to be reading that book. Now, Sawney from the Digital team has got two great sounding books on his TBR which I hadn't heard of before. The first is Fugitive Pieces by Anne Michaels, which he said he's reading because his mum told him to, which is as good a reason as any. So this one sounds super powerful. This is about a 7-year-old Holocaust survivor, and it follows his life as he grows up and becomes an artist. So wow, can't wait to hear more about that one when he's finished. And then the next book on his TBR is The New Faces of Fascism by Enzo Traverso, which again I've been hearing a lot about. It sounds really, really interesting. And he said that he's reading this one now because it's been so frustrating watching the rise of these white nationalist support groups and seeing them not being condemned by leading political figures. So he wanted to read this to try and better understand how these groups are existing and surviving in the world today. Fascinating stuff. Marisa, who works on our metadata, has also got a super political TBR at the moment. She's going to be reading Prisoners of Geography by Tim Marshall, which she said she picked up to try and make sense of everything that's going on in Europe and the world at the moment. So this one looks super interesting. Each chapter is focused on a different geographical area. So it begins with a map and then discusses quite how strongly geography affects politics, and also how these lines between countries are drawn, often really arbitrarily, and then end up having such a huge effect. And then the next on Marisa's TBR is The Mercies by Kieran Millward Hargrave. I am so excited about this one. It's coming out in February next year. So this is set on a Norwegian island called Vardø in 1617, when a huge storm hits on Christmas Eve and kills all of the men who are out fishing. And so the women are effectively left to fend for themselves for the next 18 months until they are discovered and then accused of being witches. And this is based on a true story. It sounds absolutely brilliant, and I'm so excited to hear Marisa's thoughts and also to pick it up for myself. So that's a little selection of what people around the office are reading this month, but do let us know what's on your TBR and what we should be picking up as well. And do give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and hit that subscribe button below for new videos every week. And you can always go and follow us over on Instagram at BookBreakUK. See you next time.